Do naszego hashtaga. Maciej zaraz zaprezentuje. Mam nadzieję, że dużo się dzieje na hashtagu Mission Toruń. Tak jak zapowiadaliśmy, hashtagi użyte na Twitterze, na Instagramie lub na Facebooku biorą udział w konkursie z nagrodami. Także zachęcamy Was gorąco. Można brać komórki w dłoń, tablety również. Widzę, że już nasz agent z tyłu działa ostro. Tak, nie ma szans już na ekranie, ale są aż 3, także zachęcam Was gorąco. A w tej chwili połączymy się z naszym agentem, który wystąpił we wcześniejszej misji. Jest to Colin Howard, który ma dla nas przesłanie. Proszę bardzo. To było zrobione specjalnie przez Colina Howarda, który wystąpił na naszej wcześniejszej misji. Jak widzieliśmy, miał trochę problemy z opanowaniem nowych technologii. Mam nadzieję, że Wy nie macie żadnych problemów i w tej chwili wysyłacie tweety, między innymi z hashtagiem Mission Toruń. Tak jak mówiłam, nagrody ufundowane przez firmę Ada Plus czekają, również nagroda ufundowana przez Hanse Cafe. Także gorąco zachęcam. A teraz łączymy się z Steve'em Smithem z Fourth Story, a więc z powrotem do Silicon Valley, czyli do Kalifornii. Przeniesie nas Maciej. To był Steve z Doliny Krzemowej. Następnie pojawi się Glenn Elliot, który był na poprzednim naszym spotkaniu. Opowiadał o grywalizacji, o tym, jak potężna jest to dziedzina, a tak jak poprzednio mówił, jest to z pewnością zawód z przyszłością, przedsiębiorczość z przyszłością. Także łączymy się z Glenem. Dziękujemy Glenowi. A w tej chwili przechodzimy do o? Przechodzimy do Marcina Ostajowskiego. Marcin znany jest z pierwszego pojawienia się w Hanzie. Pojawił się tu z premierą Hery, swojego pierwszego piwa, które uważył właśnie, no nie bezpośrednio w Toruniu. Marcin pochodzi z Torunia, jest związany z Mission Toruń od samego początku naszych spotkań. Niestety nie mógł się dzisiaj z nami zobaczyć, ale zostawił trochę pamiątki. Powiem szczerze, nie wiem co będzie, bo jeszcze nie oglądałam tego filmu. Dostarczony został dosłownie przed chwilą. Nie ma dzieci, więc mam nadzieję, że nie będzie nic kompromitującego. Zapraszam. Było polsko-angielsko, czyli tak jak zazwyczaj na Mission Toruń. Ja dziękuję bardzo za przygotowanie w imieniu naszej społeczności, za przygotowanie tutaj oprawę techniczną Maciejowi, a w tej chwili przechodzimy do krótkiego przedstawienia Mission Toruń, naszej misji, podsumowania naszej rocznej misji przez Patryka.
Dobry wieczór. Good evening. Hello, everybody. Lovely to be back again after only 5 minutes away from the microphone. Do we have my slides, perchance? So, anyway, just something to go through for a few minutes. Part of it, I will apologize, Maciej, because he's seen doing nothing. We are back. For those of you who are watching us online, apologies for that. If you missed us, we're about to get to my presentation from yesterday. Look, the thing anyway is that we had really a fantastic year for Mission. I mean, it's been incredible to bring together so many people at all of these missions. Over 500 people have attended throughout the course of the year. We had an incredible meeting, our clinic, where we were able to meet some great new businesses, represented today by ProMode in particular. You are one of the people who came to us with a business plan you're developing. We love it. We've got a couple more businesses, one in particular I can think of that looks really exciting, that's going to be launching in the next few, well, certainly the next few months, because we know that he's just engaged with his architect. It's going to be really, really interesting. Something I know everybody's going to enjoy. And I'll leave that and tease you with what it might be to think about in the near future. But really, I suppose the point about Mission ToRun is very simple. I mean, the thing that we're looking at here is the idea that, you know, we have to have essentially an entrepreneurial culture. It's what Michael was talking to us about from Silicon Valley earlier. And the topic yesterday, because it was an e-business conference, was the idea of putting the entrepreneur into e-business. And really, I feel this is very important because we need, in Poland, a better economy. And the difficulty is that we cannot rely on the better economy just arriving. You know, it's not going to be granted to us by God, or indeed by the politicians, or by anybody else. And the thing is, unless we build it, it won't happen. It's really, really simple. Now, the thing I was showing yesterday to the students, because I have to say I think students sometimes need to be reminded of these things, is that Polish unemployment is 10%. That's not a good number. Okay, it's slightly less worse than the Eurozone, which is 12%. Still, that's not very encouraging that 1 person in 10 doesn't have a job, particularly not given the fact that unemployment, even in places like the United States of America, are starting to approach, well, a lot less than that at the moment. That's a pretty scary statistic. 27% of people under 25 in this country are unemployed. And that's the message I was particularly trying to bring to the students, because growing up and thinking you're going to get a nice job somewhere just simply isn't going to happen. And as I pointed out yesterday, the way they do these statistics is that they do them through a bucket that's like under 25, under 35, so on. It doesn't markedly get any better if you decide not to graduate until you're 26. It's still a pretty ugly state if you're going to get there. Now, what are your options? Well, line 1 is the not terribly good option. Please, I do not want death. I particularly implore you, suicide is never an option. But for God's sake, don't join the civil service. That's just the same thing. It just lasts 40 years, okay? And I mean, when it comes to being in an NGO, that's just like an ongoing suicidal issue, but you won't even get the civil service pension. So please, you've got to do something that's productive. It may be option 2, academia. But on the other hand, the opportunities can be quite limited. You may want to do something more interesting. So therefore, you might decide point 3, let's find a job. But I refer you to the point a moment ago, 10% are unemployed and 27% effectively of student-age people are unemployed as well. Point 4, you could emigrate. Now, emigration actually can be a good option, but I personally think if you're going to emigrate, go for a few years, add to your skills base and come back. Because whatever you do, ultimately, I believe, the roads lead to point 5. That's why I put it in bold, to try and make it more helpful. Do your own thing. Because ultimately, there are several reasons. We've heard it from lots of speakers over the course of this year. Colin Howard, it's not about the money, it's about the freedom. It's the opportunity to be your own boss, to do your own thing, to have the opportunity to shape your own world, as indeed Michael was talking to us today, as Steve Smith talked about several months ago, as Patrick Burley, if you remember him, our English craft brewer, talked about just a few months ago. I'd love to name everybody who's spoken at Mission ToRun, and I probably can, but it would take too long. So therefore, I'm only picking on a few people as we go along. Freedom, freedom, freedom. That's what it brings you when you're going to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to worry about flexi time. You don't have to worry about bosses, but you do have the opportunity to help shape your own world. And in truth, what is that world? Okay, Michael gave us a very interesting possibility. The idea of taking this nexus, as he's talked about before, look at what you really, really like doing, look at what you're good at, somewhere in the middle is your job. Let me tell you, the opportunities in this country, in this world, are immense. First of all, bear in mind the fact that if you do something that can be sold online, your opportunity, your ability to export, it's actually only as far away as where you connect to the internet. That's not something that could be said of the world when I was starting out, 20, 30 years ago. It's incredible how the world is flat. New technology, products, is driving our world. Things like graphene, actually partly developed in Poland, nanotechnology, sensational. Think about how technology changes your world. Well, 15 years ago, we used to pick up all of these printed things and we would buy them and read them, called books. And at the time, Nicholas Negroponte was in the MIT Media Lab, and he was saying, 15 years' time, what you're going to have is like this electronic thing, and it's going to be like liquid paper and a sort of tablet, and you'll read your books that way. And everybody laughed at him. I'm not kidding. I mean, 96, 97, 98, he went around talking about effectively the Kindle world, being able to read things on your smartphone. Nobody believed him. In 15 years' time, think about it this way. The reason that you or your children will be late for work, for school, is because the computer printer making your breakfast has got jammed. Because that's where we are. Computer printers will not just be doing 3D printing, they're going to be printing food. They've got it in labs already. They're trying to print food, and they're doing quite well with it. It's just a question of stabilizing it, okay? So that's what technology is going to do with us. But on the other hand, it can be anything. It can be web apps. It can be simple retail. I mean, look at it this way. 2 years ago, who in their right mind would have said, I really want to go to a white basement in the old town of ToRun because it's the best place for technology and startups in the whole city. Nobody. That opportunity is out there, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why I want to bring you together. I'm reiterating on the slide what Michael said so elegantly earlier. Learn, read, fit your personality, and work your passion. And in that sense, I'm going to give you 3 quotations to inspire you, intrigue you, and so on. The first one, from Thomas Edison. He designed the light bulb. As well as being a genius inventor, he was also a really great businessman. He was a great salesman. So in English, we say, everything comes to he who waits. In other words, you sit back, you wait, and it will happen for you. Very nice medieval concept. Edison, he updated it. Version 2.0 of the quotation, okay? Everything comes to he who hustles as he waits. Hustles? Let me sell you something, young lady. Now, have I got the perfect product for you? That's the hustle. Being able to promote your business wherever you go, just like Michael Furtick said earlier on, talking about the idea of constantly selling what you're up to and what you're doing. Think about your product, think about your product development, think out of the box about what people want. Henry Ford, a man of great ability, mass production, one of the first major factories for automobiles in Dearborn in Michigan, founded over 100 years ago, and yet still to this day, the core of mass production principles are the same. If I had asked people, if I'd asked my customers, said Henry Ford, what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So you got to think ahead, be ahead of the competition, and at the same time keep planning. Dwight Eisenhower, he was pretty good during the Second World War. He was also a leading political figure in America. He said it beautifully. You know, plans are nothing, but planning, writing that plan, updating that plan, being prepared, that is everything. So do what feels right for you, ladies and gentlemen, because the future is never linear. You've got to think not just about where you start, but where you go on. Look at Groupon, okay? We all know about Groupon. Groupon was a horrible failure. Actually, Groupon's horrible failure was they started in the world of NGOs. They did. They started as a list that emailed people to protest things. So they would say, I don't know, some Poland's Got Talent star has just been arrested. He's going to be at court tomorrow. Let's all pop up and protest his innocence. And actually, people were pretty apathetic. They really didn't have a great deal of interest in saving the Bolivian hunchbacked nether whale or something. And they didn't turn up. And these guys were totally depressed. So they went downstairs and they did what people often do when they're depressed, which is eat pizza. And as they were eating pizza, the guy who owned the pizza place said, hey, you got that thing. Yeah, and how many names have you got? And they went like 30,000. And he went, whoa, okay, I'll give you so many cents for every pizza they buy if you send them a special offer coupon. Now there, ladies and gentlemen, we have the demonstration of why NGOs are doomed and why capitalism works. Because when you're looking for the money to come from God, from the heavens, from the taxpayers, it never works. When you offer them a discount on their pizza, capitalism, the opportunity to profit, to eat, to have your own Hawaiian chicken hammy calorie thing, it works. Suddenly Groupon had a revelation. And the revelation wasn't about the hunchback, netherback, green thingy whale and global something or othering. It was about the fact that, hey, this list, we could sell people stuff. Everything came to they who hustled while they waited. So in that sense, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I think the thing to bear in mind is don't worry too much about the money. Just get out there and do something with your passion. I'm a big believer in bootstrapping, what we call duct tape programming, I think, in the Silicon Valley trade as well. There's so many tools at your fingertips. You can do so much so cheaply. I mean, good God, you know, your website, you can put it together so cheaply. You can use all of these tools that are online. They're free, they're cheap, they're whatever. You can do incredible things at the moment with business like you've never been able to do before. I'm not saying don't ever get people to code. I'm not trying to cut out our friends at the back there who are all suddenly thinking, oh my God, I'm out of a job. No, that's not what I'm saying. The point is, there are places to program. There are places to do apps. But there are also so many pieces of technology at your fingertips you can build so cheaply, okay? In the last year alone, I built one business on effectively a newsletter business out of nothing. And it cost a fraction of what it would even have cost 10 years ago. It is there. It's possible. And therefore, I said, you know, start small and think big. Plan, plan, plan. Think, think, think. Work, work, work. Of course, as I think everybody has said earlier this evening, when I came to Workspace and always think laterally, of course, I was at the university yesterday. I wanted to introduce them to a lovely cafe where you'll always be welcome. Come by, have a latte, use our bandwidth. You can come along. You can do all sorts of things in our space. I mean, it's multifunctional when it's working. People have interviewed models here. We've had photo shoots. They shot UMK soap opera one day here as well. There's all sorts of things you can do. It's just incredible what happens in cafes. Maybe I should stop there. And finally, what I would say is, if any of you or your friends have an idea, you're going to come up with something, remember, we're going to do another clinic soon. We're really, really keen to get that going again. We'll do an autumn-winter clinic probably during the summer or maybe just after the summer. It'll be a great chance for us to meet people and see what's going on. We love hearing about what's been going on in terms of what's happening in our business. And finally, I want to say something about someone who's not maybe the greatest entrepreneur in this country, but at the same time, he deserves a great deal of praise. Leszek Balcerowicz, he got an award yesterday, the Milton Friedman Economic Prize. That demonstrates that Poland's on the map. It's a fabulous award. He's an incredible man. I have been lucky enough to meet him a couple of times. He's incredibly intelligent. He's fascinatingly interested. And most of all, he loves ToRun, because effectively he came from here. And therefore, I just wanted to say, I think of all the people, trying to put down who would there know, there wouldn't be a mission ToRun without. Well, there wouldn't be without Adam and Ilona and with Maciej and of course our beautiful and wonderful chairman, Beata. And it would be very difficult to function with all our great speakers, Michael Fertig, etc., Mr. Zakrzewski. Adam, it's a pleasure to see you once again. Everybody who's spoken during the year. But actually, without this guy, there wouldn't be any modern Poland, okay? Lech Wałęsa wouldn't be any modern Poland. John Paul II wouldn't be any modern Poland. But the difference that stops Poland from being a cesspit where you can't do business like Ukraine or being a prosperous up and rising country is that guy. He's incredible. He's done amazing things for Poland, and I think therefore I would like to say thank you very much for your presence. Mission ToRun is 1 year old. We're going to go from strength to strength. We really look forward to doing lots more in the business space, in the small business space. And from one tiny little happy startup, Hansa Cafe, thank you very much to everybody here. To all of you, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Ostatnie minuty, mam nadzieję, że zostały dobrze wykorzystane do tego, żeby używać hashtaga Mission ToRun i w tej chwili zamykamy konkurs. Czy mamy już wyniki, Środko, Marysio, Ilono? Tak, mamy już wyniki. Proszę bardzo, zapraszam. Środka Marysia jest bardzo skromna, nie chce się ujawnić, ale mam nadzieję, że zaraz odkryje przede mną, kto jest zwycięzcą naszego konkursu. Dziękuję. Pierwsze miejsce Dominik. Agent Dominik, zapraszamy. Zapraszamy. Tak? Musisz się stawić i ujawnić. Proszę. Proszę bardzo, gratuluję. Bardzo dobrze skasztagowane. Chcieliśmy tym konkursem jeszcze tylko dopełnię. Paweł, mam nadzieję, że to zachęci Ciebie do tego, żeby zakładać biznes w Toruniu. Jest to poradnik inwestora przyniesiony tutaj przez Adama Zakrzewskiego. No i nagroda od naszego sponsora głównego, firma Adam Plus. Brawo. Drugie miejsce Adam blokuje. Adam dzisiaj widzę, że robił na dwie ręce. Tak? Proszę bardzo, udało się. Gratuluję. Nasz agent Adam. Trzecie miejsce agentka Kasia. Gratuluję. Agentka Kasia dostaje nagrodę od Hansa Cafe. Jest to herbatka dla dwojga. Proszę bardzo, zapraszam. A w tej chwili czas na networking. Dziękuję bardzo za naszą rocznicową myszyn. Dziękuję gorąco za Wasze prezenty, a przede wszystkim za przybycie i mam nadzieję do zobaczenia następnym razem. Nasza misja się nie kończy na naszym spotkaniu. Już w czerwcu spotykamy się ponownie. Dziękuję, zapraszam.